Welcome back to Gollum. So yeah, we have to find and kill Snara before the cruel woman gets there.
Riveting. I'm not quite yet to the level of not caring that I was with Life is Strange 2, but God, do I find it hard to care about almost anything in this game.
Well, how about this? We're about to find a funny glitch, so look forward to that at least.
Oh yes, yes. Like, okay, and to be fair, I'm talking mostly in the narrative sense, because yeah, no, outside of that, the game is something of an amusing wreck.
Alright, so let's see. So I had to climb all the way up there. Fuck. Okay.
No, don't tell me.
No, I think you have to go to the left.
Let's do that. There you go.
Yep.
Now what? I mean, I'm supposed to go up. I mean...
Well, it's down then.
Okay, backwards jump. All right.
Okay, backward.
Okay, so basically what happened here is, once again, the lack of a dynamic camera threw me off, because I'm supposed to go up from here, where I am right now. Thing is, I can't tell that there's something above me because the camera didn't point to it. Because again, like, I'm so used to games of this genre having a dynamic camera that points stuff to me.
I know some might argue, oh, but isn't it great, you know, the game giving you all this freedom and work over it? However...
What freedom? There's only one path forward.
Also, there's the arrow pointing up.
No, that's a thing too. The arrow is pointing up, but I'm trying to go up from the other side. That's the thing I can't quite... No. There you go. But again, this is...
I guess we just have to wait.
Oh, you have to wait until the elevator arrives.
No, I do not. If I do that, I'll die, as you're about to see. See?
Oh, right, yeah, they're on the elevator.
Because they see it. Alright.
So maybe you're supposed... I guess you were supposed to wait for the elevator... No, wait.
No, I already told you. Like, I'm supposed to go up, but from the other wall. It's just that I haven't figured it out yet.
That's because, Jova, you're supposed to actually get there before, so if you each arrive grappling on the base of the elevator, they will arrive before you, I guess.
I will say, this game is definitely a good advocate for why dynamic cameras are important. Now, don't get me wrong, it's important that players do have camera control, but a player shouldn't always have to play detective to this.
Well, the idea is to have both. The idea is to have both. Like in Uncharted, I can always control my camera during these months, but at the same time, the camera is constantly pointing to the next place, so I know where I'm supposed to go.
I'll admit, I find it weird that you can't grab that cable and climb up it. You'd think it would be thick enough to use.
It's one of those things where, again, I didn't develop the game, so obviously I don't know the level design beforehand. So obviously it's up to the game to convey things to me in some kind of way, you know?
Like you said, the obvious thing should be to do what any same game would do, give both dynamic and player control of the camera.
Here's an idea, don't develop your levels vertically if you're making problems like these.
Yeah.
That too.
That too.
Okay, you know, I will say this though, you know, it's no secret that in the last few months of 2023, we got some absolute dog turds of games, yet, admittedly, there were arguably some games worse than this one's, but you didn't see their studios get closed down for it. Yet, poor Daedalic, they make this one, admittedly very terrible game, and they're just shut down as a game developer.
Oh, hold on.
Like,
what the hell?
You have now entered the Twilight Zone.
Gollum is now our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, ladies and gentlemen.
But then, it's like God remembered, oh wait, he's not my son, and he turned off his walking in the air power and he died.
So that's what happens to Looney Tunes when they're walking in the air? God thinks that they're his son Jesus, but forgets. But then as soon as he realizes that they're not the son and savior, he turns off their gravity.
Sure, why not?
Turns back on their gravity.
Also, Jova, as we experience with stuff like the Golden Compass, it's not necessarily dependent to, you know, one product, and regardless of, you know, said product's quality, that a company, you know, might get shut down. It's just a combination of circumstances when it happens. Remember, New Line Cinema took several hits of stuff like Spawn and Young Doctor Miro. But then something that felt more innocuous, so like the Golden Compass was the one that, you know, make them fully being integrated into Warner Bros. Even if it feels less logical. Sometimes things just happen, Drova.
I cannot stand this game.
Without a doubt. But my frustration comes from the sort of circumstance we had with Gollum, where, yes, the game was terrible. And yeah, okay, I'm not going to let the devs off. I get that this was their first time and that an executive may have forced them to do it. But one, we don't know for sure if an executive did force them. And two, even still, it still is a terrible game. Even if they were trying their best, it still is a terrible game. People are not obligated to like, love, or talk this game up, even if this may have been what killed them or not, regardless of how much it was fair. That being said, I do still feel like it is BS that this game's failure was placed solely on Daedalic to the point where they got canned as a studio, which, okay, let's actually think about it. There's no logical sense for that to be it, because as far as we knew, Daedalic were good at their craft when they were actually making games that were more their speed. This was a game that was clearly outside their usual wheelhouse. It would kind of be like, say, Koizumi's Mario team trying to make, like, a Final Fantasy game. Like, maybe they could, but keep in mind, they're working on a completely different type.
No, this one does not have a helmet. Also, I cannot stand this game's camera, seriously. Like, why not zoom out the camera during those bits so I can actually see things? Like the camera was so close during those final climbing bits. Like, seriously, I cannot stand this game's camera.
I don't want you to get zoomed by Team Allen.
Although, speaking of other trash fires of 2023, it really is amazing that there is stuff that is arguably worse, like, as we've mentioned before, the King Kong game.
Wasn't 2023 the year also when we got that Popeye video game that's supposed to be...
No, I think that was last year.
Okay, well, 2022.
Well,
then.
the year before. We did, however, get Redfall, which was a disaster, and then there was that game that's barely a game but seems like a scam the day before. A game that got massively refunded and pulled from Steam in about just 4 days from it releasing. Good lord.
Alright, so now we have to escape the orcs.
And from what I'm hearing, that Avatar The Quest for Balance game is pretty crap. I got it for Christmas, so I guess I'll be able to check for myself sooner or later.
Alright, so that was about it.
What?
Now we wait for the loading screen.
Well, I didn't see the game over screen, but...
No, that's the thing. I ended. That's the thing too. I progressed. It's just that the game...
I thought you worded it like you failed again.
It's just that the game is so abrupt that it didn't even seem like I completed the task. That's the thing.
Like, they didn't even give, like, an ending animation or anything. It's just a fade to black, like this is some... cheapo...
You know what game also did this? You know what game also did this? Time and Eternity. And that, you know, one of the most sloppiest, you know, terribly made. Well, no, sure.
Say it, but
sure.
Yeah, I definitely would take that game over this.
Well, sure, but it's just that you know, like yeah, I'm talking about specifically the way the game cuts to black.
I get what you mean. Like, even if it's a better game, emulating Time and Eternity in any way is not what I would call a good decision.
It's like Life is Strange 2, in that beginning chapter of the desert, where they literally rip off the novel chapter Beyond Two Souls for reasons that I have yet to understand. Why would anyone want to rip off Beyond Two Souls?
I swear, it feels like French developers are sometimes thick as thieves with that stuff and trading bad ideas.
In the meantime, Grashnig is going to be our, I guess, sidekick for the time being.
Again, I get what the game is trying to do, in a sense that, again, our POW is clearly entirely on Gollum, and the people that he meets along the way are just, you know, temporary companions that, you know, just serves a means to an end at the end of the day, but come and go as, you know, as the tide or something.
The problem is, I really feel like not much has happened in the grand scheme. Like, sure, stuff has
we've just been stuck in one location for a very long time. I think we're pretty much ready to move at this point.
I was honest to tell, I was ready to move on like 2 hours ago.
In game.
I know, I'm joking.
I mean, yes, it's nice. Gollum meets all these people, but unlike, say, the Shadow of Mordor duology, it doesn't really feel like much matters from him meeting these people. They just come and go from the plot.
Show me what you've got.
Locally
Yeah.
wants to pick the nicest maggots, doesn't he? From the nicest bread.
What are you talking about? Where are my flasks?
We've got a better thing than flasks, better than dreams, better than sleep. A number.
A number?
One that will earn his
Lottery
master's
number.
closer, so we can tell him what we learned about the Candleman's spy and who murdered him tonight.
Riveting.
And the cutscene just ends.
To that.
I also noticed that in between frame, between the end of the scene and the loading screen.
Holy cow!
Next
Wait,
morning.
and we don't even see the talk he had with the guy. Jesus, why even bother?
Here they come.
I guess maybe it's foreshadowing of stuff to come,
The
but
fat one.
this just feels needlessly cheap.
It's like the cutscene was originally gonna be longer, but they had to cut it short or something.
That's the one. You, come with us.
Why? Grashnik has done nothing wrong, we swears.
Just a couple of questions. Nothing.
Well, too bad for you, Grashnik. Chapter 5,
Oh
The
no,
Traitor.
Grashnik, we got to know him so little.
One more time, one more. First, steal key to the bird tower. Second, up the bird tower to the execution chamber, where we waits for who? The Grashnik. And then, through the drain and to the bridge.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, now Gollum is actively trying to think of a plan to escape.
What choice would it have? What then? Hiding great. Grashnik drives the cart. Bird rings.
Yeah, the plan is the one that Beardy told us a few parts ago.
Off we goes. It's a good plan, my love.
I mean, I've seen worse escape attempt, I suppose.
Not too dissimilar from the typical sneak out with the laundry list.
I mean, I cannot picture Gollum
Or
with
what?
a tool next to excavate a tunnel.
Oh, what game?
Like,
You actually
really?
faded to black into the loading screen? You didn't just you just didn't immediately jump cut? I'm so disappointed.
Not just that entire sequence literally David caged you into the confined space, not really limiting your movement extremely, just so we could get the plan. That could have been a cutscene.
I get,
It really
I get the feeling too. They didn't have any more money or time to make it a cutscene, so they had to make it a gameplay bit to get that exposition out of the way.
That's not gameplay though. Like,
Well, I know, Teo, but you have to understand, Teo. Making that they just made right now is it's cheaper than mocapping a cutscene. So in order to get that particular plot information out,
if-
they had to go with it because they didn't have a choice.
I get it, but if it's a case where Gollum has to say to himself while walking around, might as well let him do it. You know, like an example in this segment that we are right now before the menu, as in on the way to the place. At the very least,
Did
we're
I,
doing something.
Did I miss something?
Not particularly.
Gollum is actually having a plan to go, similar to what Beardy told him. He's supposed to use one of the carts that go in and out of the prison, but he will need the cooperation of Grashnak.
And Grashnak, aka the bearded prisoner that's on the cell with us, he's going to be brought in for questioning for reasons that we don't know yet.
Yeah, the way you said Gollum's ready to go, and I was gonna say going where? The toilet?
I mean,
Yeah, this is actually the plot of the game all along. Gollum really needs to use the toilet.
All right.
what do you want today?
What exactly does Father want from you?
Names.
Well, he should remember mine. Although perhaps he does not.
We don't know your name.
Well, I think it's just talking about the father, though, like a father of the year,
Oh,
ladies and
I
gentlemen.
know.
She has
I know,
daddy
but I
issues. It's kind of Jova. She's kind of like the protagonist of Hatred. My name is not important.
I kind of love the irony, though. He should remember mine, even though the story hasn't been bothered to give me one.
So now Gollum is actually tricking the guards into thinking that the Candleman is expecting him, even though he isn't.
Apparently he tricked even the cruel woman into believing that, too.
Mm-hmm.
That bird is wild. It needs more punishment. Never be too
Parallels.
gentle
Oh God! Seriously.
Jesus.
Master wants to read a book and
So what
It's
are you
like-
gonna do? So you're gonna do? Cook it and make it part of your meal?
I swear, the light... Okay.
He literally looks like an early gen PS3 model. Go on.
You know, okay, I get it. That the devs may not have been that skilled with making this type of genre game, but surely they could have gotten the lighting right at least. Like, what the hell?
Everything that well, that's the thing, Jova. Everything that Daedalic has made before this game has been simple 2D animated point-and-click adventure games.
So this is their first time with a 3D aesthetic too.
Major one at the very least, yes. So
So this game was essentially their first at almost anything game-wise.
it's kind of like
okay,
it's kind of like
over exaggerating, but you know, first of a kind, let's say.
Well, yeah, my point exactly. Their first 3D game, their first of this aesthetic, their first.
Oh no, the way
sort
you
of
worded it,
platform.
Jova, you made it sound like the things they did before were not even games.
Someplace to go.
Oh God, no,
not
no,
really?
no. I'm not going Chris Judge on them.
buzzing.
I don't even know what that is.
Christopher Judge
Voice
too.
of Kratos.
Kratos.
Oh, okay. Use a short name. Okay.
sometimes fathers get suspicious when daughters do things behind
Ooh, Gollum, are you stirring up potential conflict?
You know, lady,
their
go on.
This work must go now and look
Lady, you're getting family advice from Gollum. This is how far you've fallen. This is how far you've fallen.
Remember even the original story, Jova. Gollum, again, the game might have made you forget about it, but Gollum is supposed to be an actual good manipulator on his own. So
Oh, I don't mind that.
in order
I
to
don't
actually
mind that.
formulating a plan to escape, of course he's gonna, you know, gaslight the shit out of everyone around him.
Oh, I'm actually fine with that. If anything, I wish we could have gotten more moments like that in this game. Like, sure, yes, he has been putting together a plan. First plan failed, but it's mostly been just Gollum following orders and like, yeah, we eventually
the
get
game
to
is
him
trying to
manipulating
make it not a slow burn, but you know, more of a case of he's biding his time, asserting the situation, and making in order to make his move. I get that. It's just that it's so deeply unsatisfying.
It
Yeah.
really is. And the thing is, again,
Oh,
it
I'd like to
wow, fall damage. But yeah, the thing is, it's like, yes, we know that he will get out because, you know, he has to be out for the events of the story that we know
Yeah.
from Lord of the Rings.
Not yet, like the
It's just
trophy
that-
says. So
So that in and of itself already makes it a challenge to make this compelling overall, since we know the outcomes. And like Tim has mentioned, we haven't seen Gollum really do that much master manipulating.
see
It's
the thing.
more like, yeah,
Sorry.
he's biding his time, but we don't really get to see much of what he's been doing proper. Like, there really could have been a neat sub-mechanic about how well you're manipulating these people.
Yeah, again, the main appeal of a prequel, story-wise, is recontextualizing certain events from the later entries that provide more depth and allow you to see things that like you can now appreciate the original entries better in some ways. But this game is not recontextualizing anything from the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Like, this plot is so self-contained and separate from anything that the main Tolkien books are, that nothing that we're going to see in the actual main books seems like it's being recontextualized or being added on. Like, this feels like such a, you know, it's such a way too self-contained and way too segmented plot, random plot that feels so spin-offish in its nature, you know?
Like, you know, okay. Like, you know, if this were a completely original character, I could get it being, you know, welded off, you know, definitely on its own little thing. But this is frickin' Gollum. Like, you know the dude has a big impact with the narrative here. So we expect much more interesting stuff to be done with him than what's been shown so far. And, you know, even if the game picks up at this point, I wouldn't blame anyone who's put it down at this point.
Yeah.
Because it really does not have much glamour to show for itself.
Look at Miracle Mask, for example. You know, Miracle Mask, this backstory of Layton gives us a full understanding of where his love from puzzles came from. You know, what made him decide to become an archaeologist, which, as we know, is his primary job in the series. So playing Miracle Mask makes you appreciate the original trilogy more, because now you have a deeper context for why the things are as they are in the original trilogy.
And then I write the 9th Layton game where a puzzle actually kills somebody.
Well, honestly, hasn't it been implied that some of those puzzles have actually killed would-be grave robbers at some point?
I mean, that's the idea with the Azran ruins in Miracle Mask themselves.
Yeah, but no, whereas this, in contrast, there's nothing here. There's no I'm not learning anything that makes me appreciate the Tolkien trilogy of books, the main one, I mean, better. Not even The Hobbit. Like, this takes place after The Hobbit, right?
Yeah, between The Hobbit and
so it's more like an interquel.
That's usually the popular thing for Lord of the Rings.
That was my bad.
Extra material.
It's similar to a lot of expanded universe Star Wars material that takes place between episode 3 and 4. It's a good time dilation that allows a lot of events to happen.
Sure. But yeah, that's a good example. Look at the Star Wars Jedi duology from Respawn, right? They have original characters, so it makes perfect sense for the plot to be segmented and not really connect to much of anything, right?
And yet that actually does manage to add to the narrative of, again, what was going on with all the Jedis who did survive Order 66, just by that narrative alone. Like, and you know what? Even if we weren't going to learn anything new about Gollum, I would at least just settle for doing interesting things with him. But no, Prison Simulator number 69 is not what I consider interesting.
Not nice, bro.
Nope.
But yeah, let me just explain. My problem with this particular section is that the scenery, the overall... Okay, so up until this point, usually the game would paint white the things that I'm supposed to grab. In here, not so much. Like, in here, it feels like they forgot. Like, it's one of those things where it comes across as inconsistent to me, where you got me used to looking for ledges that are painted in white, right? And now I can't find any, like, so I'm not entirely certain what I can grab and what I can't grab, you know?
I do find it weird how there's an invisible wall keeping you from clearly jumping into that position when you should be able to.
The fact that, what Jova said, the fact that, again, this is one of those cases where the game is incredibly rigid. You have to play the game the way the developers intended, like, complete, and to a ridiculous degree, to the point where, like, even trying to make a jump that the developers didn't intend, even though mechanically speaking you could definitely make that jump, the game won't allow you because there's an invisible. What the fuck happened just this Gollum was moving up in the air just now again. Seriously. I'm like, goddamn it, game. I'm trying to put some sense into you. Just,
you know, it's one of the worst combinations. A game that's as broken.
Oh, now it works.
But
why did you fall earlier when I last tried? Like, seriously, exactly like I did it before. Like, why didn't you fall this time? Like, what was the difference just now? Like, seriously, I have no idea what was the difference between this attempt and the previous one right before. Like,
game's bugging. Like,
I honestly don't know.
I'll say this: it's one of the worst combinations. A game as buggy as this that demands perfection from the player.
And remember, like, I play as my co-commentator. Oh god, cutscene. There you go.
Bird up.
Very good, little one.
Do we even get any interesting development between the relationship of Gollum and this bird?
Not really.
To an extent, but it's don't temper your expectations over.
I disagree. I don't think it's anything we're even mentioning.
I forgot because I asked in the previous part. You finished the game in the meantime, Pedro.
No, but I'm already past the part where the bird stops being a thing, basically.
Well, just wait. keep waiting until the end of the game.
Well,
Well,
regardless, it's one of those things where even if the bird becomes like a gigantic important thing during the climax or some shit like that, honestly, I'm not exactly, super excited about that to begin with.
I will say this. If they do better with the bird later, that's fine. But I feel like at this point in the narrative, for something that the story says is an important bond between Gollum and the bird, I'm not feeling it yet. Hopefully, they'll ramp things.
While it's doing a poor job at that, the bird is supposed to represent basically a parallel to what Gollum is going right now. The bird is technically a blank slate, can potentially become, his fate can become, what.
Where do I go now exactly?
I think the rail there.
Oh, okay. See,
there we go.
There you go. I couldn't quite see it. Now I can. I couldn't quite see it from that distance.
Lighting. Go on to you.
Now, whatever. You'll be able to see as the game goes on anyway.
I do agree with you that like many things, it's not shown well.
True. Basically what I'm just saying is that there's a methodology to the madness rather than being out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm. No. I get that. It's just that. There you go.
I get that feeling with a lot of this stuff.
True.
It's just that. Oh. Okay. I have to wonder. Like, was this their first kind of story that they wrote like this? Like, nothing really feels like it gels well. Not even the writing.
I'm not. No. Apparently, them seeing me causes me to die, even though it shouldn't, because they already know I'm here. Why would it be a problem if I get seen by them at this point? They don't, as far as I can. Yes, I'm secretly getting things like I stole the bird tower key thingy, but they don't know that yet. Like, I get that you want to have obstacles and
it's
stealth.
also their private chambers. You're technically not supposed to be there to begin with.
Yeah, that's what that's the inkling I got. Like, in the general premise, maybe, but in that particular room,
I guess
they're not supposed to be.
That's
like,
okay.
You have been in this room already. It's just that they're not expecting anyone else to be there. As you can see, there are not even any particular guard orcs in this area. Maybe outside, if
That's okay. All you have to do is just sneak past them, and you'll be fine, because they're looking at the world map. So.
Again, nothing to see.
Oh my god, this fucking collision detection. Go on, Tail.
I did mention already in some of the previous parts. I know that not many stealth game tends to do it nowadays, but I kind of miss the tradition that the FIFA games had, that you walking on a specific surface had different degrees of sound that could alert guards nearby.
Hell, Metal Gear 2 on the MSX had that.
True, I don't think the Solid series will kept it.
No, it did that shit too. Right from the beginning in MGS1, if you step on the puddles, there's even a little water sound, and it alerts the guards. Like, no, even Phantom. All the Metal Gear games retain pretty much everything. Like, even Phantom Pain still has all the refinements still. Like,
I guess it's still relatively contextual, because when I mentioned, again, I don't even know if you played the few games, but those I have to apply it for the entire game.
Oh, sure.
For every surface.
Well, I can imagine that would be very time consuming, so I can understand that it's not like something that all games do it.
No, okay, definitely not this. It's just that if you're doing a stealth game, I'm guessing it's maybe not that too much hard to do. It's more of a case of, I get the idea the challenge might be into constructing an obstacle course, essentially, that manages to not be too frustrating for that.
But yeah, going back to my previous point, and keep in mind, everybody, like my co-commentators know, because they've been in playthroughs of these kinds of games with me for so long now. These kinds of games, this kind of game, the climbing platformer type of game, kind of like Uncharted or other stuff. This is the kind of game that I like to play a lot, like, as you guys know, right? So it's not like I'm not the target audience and I don't have experience in these kinds of games. I do. That's why I got the game, for fuck's sake. Combined with the fact that, this is a Lord of the Rings game that's in my genre, and might as well play with the guys. Why not? If anything, for shits and giggles, right? So I know how to play these kinds of games. That's where my complaints come from. The fact that so many essential aspects like the dynamic camera are not here. You know, it's like this developer is inexperienced as fuck at making this kind of game, and it shows.
I will say this, like, no one... Okay, when this game was initially announced, as far as I know, there was no cause for alarm, or no one was particularly alarmed. Like, from what I understand, people had faith that Daedalic could pull this off. Again, I'm not as familiar with them, so... Again, I'm coming at this completely fresh, so as far as I knew, I had no reason to worry. So, make it certain, none of us went in with the intent of hating this game before it made its way into humanity's hands. So, let's let it be known, the reactions are genuine in just how badly everything is handled, from the gameplay to the lackluster at best story, honestly.
Indeed. Alright, so... Oh god, this section. I fucking hate this section. Okay, this
How many times have you said that this playthrough? Not that I can blame you.
I would start a counter, but I'm too lazy to do so. Okay, so this section. This is another one of those sections that once again makes it very unclear of what specific jumps I have to make to progress. Not just because of the dynamic camera. This time it's even more because, like, the level design in general is unclear. As you, oh, and Gollum just clipped through the bars. Okay. It's interesting how this particular version of Gollum. This particular version of Gollum seems to have magic powers. Well, that happened.
I guess it cleaned, yeah, it cleaned the passage, I guess.
Must be another way. Not up here.
There's got to be a better way.
I love how he said "damn it," but the subtitles just said
climb up.
noise.
So notice it says that climb up to the execution ship. Okay, so I have to keep climbing up. Okay, so where can I do that from here exactly?
I think you're supposed to go back down and follow another route, because again, that's what basically Gollum had to say to Smeagol.
Why is this game so unintuitive at progression?
For me, it's one of those things.
The arrow is pointing down.
Oh yeah, it is. And don't worry, I will follow that arrow. Give me a moment.
Like Pedro mentioned, the problem with the arrow is that it usually just points in a general direction. Like, sometimes you'll need to actually go up before going down, despite the arrow pointing down.
Yeah.
Like, essentially what the arrow just points to is the end game of a goal, essentially. It never really changes that much in regards to what you're doing in the middle of it, though. It's just essentially showing where you'll need to end up, rather than where you need to go at the moment.
Yeah, it points to the exact it points to the exact specific spot in the level where I'm supposed to go to trigger the next cutscene, but there's a long path that I have to take to get there, and that path is the part that's unclear. That's what I'm talking about.
Whose dumb idea was it to make a quest arrow like that?
Well, okay, to be fair, this is not something unfortunate. This is not something that's exclusive to this game, because I've played even good games that have this problem. Like Horizon Zero Dawn, for example. Horizon Zero Dawn also has a quest marker that points specifically to where you're supposed to go, like the exact spot, but sometimes you'll find like a giant mountain, and now you have to find a way to circle around the mountain, you know, like... even though the quest marker is just pointing forward, you know, you can't go forward because there's a mountain in front of you, you know, like... So this is something that happens all the time in modern games. To be fair, this is not a problem exclusive to this game. It's just something that developers have to figure out. Like, I feel like it would be much better if these kinds of quest markers would point to specific... There are actually a few games that I've played that actually do this better, which is instead of pointing immediately to the specific next hotspot to trigger the next cutscene, or whatever it is the next thing you're supposed to do in the story, instead it points to specific spots on the map where you need to go, and then when you get to that point, then it points to the next part, like basically leading you through the... putting crumbs in the player's way so he can follow the crumbs, basically. I feel like that is a better way to go about it, especially when you're doing an open world gigantic game where the map has a shit ton of different things that can, you know. But all right, everybody, to the next part where we continue to, I guess, you know, screw over the Candleman.
Yeah.
See ya.